We're going to start with the head and neck. And the head and neck is usually where most students start. It's the first one that we go over in the lecture. It's the first one we kind of look at. But most students find this one's the most easiest. The muscles are pretty big. The origins and insertions are kind of easy to find. And they're easier to memorize because you spent so much time memorizing the skull bones and all the parts of the skull. Most students find this is the easiest one to start with. So let's get started. So, like I mentioned in the lecture class, you should memorize origins, insertions, actions, innervations when you do muscles. All of that can be done outside of the lab, outside of the SLC. All you're doing when you're watching these videos is, can you determine what muscle is what? So that's what we're going to spend our time on. Make your note cards with all that extra information, and all that information can come from all of those charts that are included in the lectures in the lab. So let's get started. So this muscle right here is just located on the frontal bone, so that one's called the frontalis. You'll see a white strip, and that's just going to be connective tissue. So this is a good intro. Every time you see connective tissue that's white, it's going to be another extra structure you need to memorize, and that's the galea aponeurotica. And that one's important because you'll see a lot of muscles are coming off of the galea aponeurotica. So once we have the galea aponeurotica done, we can then look at this ring of muscle surrounding the eye. And that ring of muscle surrounding the eye is called your orbicularis oculi. The ring of muscle surrounding the lips is called the orbicularis oris. And if you remember from the lecture class, a muscle fiber, all it does when it's activated, it shortens. So if you shorten this muscle, it closes the eye or blinks. If you shorten and shorten the orbicularis oris muscle, it closes the mouth or puckers up almost like a kissing action. So that blows a kiss, that blinks the eye. Then you have these two. These two are kind of tricky because this one is more medial to the nose, this one is more lateral away from the nose. The zygomaticus minor and the zygomaticus major are both coming off of the orbicularis oris. And the reason why the zygomaticus minor and the zygomaticus major might not look big or major or smaller, but this was named because of a pig. So if you think of a snout of a pig, this one's going to be much larger, longer, and wider. So that's why the zygomaticus major is always going to be the one below it. And all the other ones you can forget. So now let's kind of look at the neck. You have one going from the manubrium of the sternum and the clavicle. That's your sternocleidomastoid muscle in the neck. And that's sternocleidomastoid because it's going into the mastoid process. Then if you kind of look right here, you have this muscle that's called the masseter muscle. And the masseter is used for mastication or chewing. And here's a better view of the zygomaticus minor, zygomaticus major. Then turn around, you can see the occipitalis, more of the occipitalis, and you can still see the galea aponeurotica on the back. This one on the side is going to be the temporalis. And here, if you see right there, you can see a yellow dot. That yellow dot is a nerve, but we're going to focus on what is that muscle that yellow dot is going through, and that yellow dot is going through the buccinator muscle, or the buccinator, depending on how you're going to say it. And if you look and you see, those are all the muscles of the head and neck. So start with the model like this, go through all of them, and soon, after a couple of times, you will see that this will be one of the easiest models and easiest groups of muscles you have to memorize for this class.